evening, everyone. I'll call the regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:01 p.m. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Mr. Rollins?
Here.
Ms. McCall?
Here.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Here.
Mr. Siegel?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 6 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll now take a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we start each board meeting, I'd like to remind everyone that the mission of the Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in a first-class education for a changing world. And before we go any further, I'd like to thank Connor Childers. Connor works behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via both YouTube live stream and Comcast Channel 20. I also wish to welcome Superintendent Student Advisory Council Representative Katie Jensen. She's here from Guilford High School. Thank you. Katie also graciously attended our retreat on Saturday morning, so she's really getting a little bit of perspective from many directions. We'll now celebrate the Rockford Public Schools, and Carlson Elementary School is here to share their MTSS journey.
Hello. I, on behalf of Carlson Elementary School, would first like to thank the board for this opportunity for us to highlight some great work that's happening here at Carlson Elementary School. I'm Christina Miller. I'm the principal at Carlson Elementary School. This is my 4th year as principal at Carlson. And with me, I have Miss Kristen Archer. She is a Title I teacher at Carlson Elementary School, and she's been with me through this whole journey as we've brought MTSS to Carlson as my Title I teacher. So as you can see from this slide, you can see where we started in 2018. We started with no MTSS or Tier 2 or Tier 3 services. That was our ground zero. And together from 2019 to 2022, we created some Tier 2 and Tier 3 academic supports that were very rigorous for our students, and we're very proud of our data up there for our 3rd through 5th grade ELA scores on IAR. You can see that even through the pandemic, we exceeded pre-pandemic scores in our IAR, and even though our math didn't exceed pre-pandemic, we bounced back pretty fast from that COVID era, and we attribute a lot of that to the growth that we saw in our MTSS supports. If you look down at the bottom with those fireworks there, we found that 73% of our students that were receiving Tier 2 or Tier 3 academic supports exceeded their growth expectations compared to their peers. And then this year we decided, because we were seeing such great growth with our academic services, that it is time that we extend to our SEL and behavior supports. So we looked at how we did this for our academics, lots of training for our instructional coaches, our Title I teachers, and our classroom teachers, teaching them how to do interventions, how to track things in intervention plans and Panorama, what are good ways to research and track data of what interventions and strategies work. This is an example of how robust and thorough our intervention plans are for students. That's one student on the left of all of the things and strategies that we're documenting. And you can see an example of one student's growth in literacy that received Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports, of how they grew from below the 21st percentile to up to above the 61st percentile. And then this is our MAP data from last year in the spring. We are the red, the district is the blue for how each grade is performing on both math and reading. And as you can see, we've now exceeded the district average in every grade in both math and reading. And again, we attribute that to all of the interventions we've provided in our Tier 2 and Tier 3 academic supports.
So why SEL MTSS? SEL helps kids gain skills in important areas beyond math, reading, and other core school subjects. It helps identify their feelings, understand and communicate with others, build strong relationships, and make good decisions. So resources. We had circle trainings. We visited other Calm classrooms in RPS. We had district trainings, and we looked at different books and manuals. Here are some examples of some of the resources that we are currently using to support the circles and to also support the Calm classroom sessions. And this is an example of a letter we send home for academic support. And then this is the example of a letter that we sent home for the SEL intervention support. And it also provides ways that parents can provide support at home also.
So for our Tier 1 is where all students in all classrooms receive. Our first thing that we decided is that we'll have building-wide themes across the week for the entire school. We decided that every classroom will have community circle every day after recess. Some schools decide to do this as part of morning meetings, but as a staff, we decided that students needed some time to reconnect after an unstructured setting in recess, as well as real-world application for some of these SEL skills. As well as Tier 1 instruction, all teachers in every classroom either provide a specific SEL skill, lesson, or a social story for the day. This is an example of all of the themes that we do throughout the week and every lesson in every classroom that is experienced for every kid in Tier 1. This is an example of a story that a class might read. This is about integrity and how they can use these examples of this story to talk about how you exhibit integrity. This is a specific lesson that a class does on how to build integrity and what integrity means to you, and a real-world application within the classroom and what an experience a student might have. This is an example of what a classroom circle looks like. This is a kindergarten class, so yes, even these 5-year-olds do it every day. And they talk about experiences they might have at recess, and it builds our community and relationships.
So I do most of the Tier 2, Tier 3 sessions, providing targeted support. And then for Tier 3, these are students who need more explicit instruction or SEL skills. And I provide lessons for the students who need more intense help and understanding. This right here is what teachers and students are saying. We sent out a survey to teachers and got some positive feedback about circles time, both from the teachers and the students.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any board members have questions? Guess not. Thank you. And we're now at the petitions and communications portion of our meeting, where we invite the public to make comments. The board will not respond to the comments at this time. If it is appropriate, you will be contacted in a timely manner by staff. Each speaker will be allowed no more than 2 minutes to address the board. It is not appropriate to address individual board members or individual administrators or discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in such open meetings. If you look on your left, you'll see 2 digital clocks. One shows the total time allotted to public comment. The other is the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your interest and for your cooperation with our guidelines. I'll read 2 names at a time. The first person will be the speaker, and then the second will be on deck. Ann Rakoy will be up first, and Ricky Naylor to follow. So if you come to this podium, yeah, and there should be, I'm not sure if they left it on or not, but
hello.
hi.
I'm here on behalf of my son. He is currently a student at Lincoln Middle School. The reason I'm requesting or asking you for help is that I have requested several times for my son to be moved from Lincoln to Flynn Middle School, several times, each time being rejected. Lincoln is not meeting my son's needs. He's socially and academically, and most of all, he does not feel safe. Since the beginning of the school year, he has had 13 incidences involving bullying. None of them have been addressed or changed, and it's just an ongoing thing. They're not providing a safe environment for my son or for kids with special education needs. Our kids have the right to feel safe at school. I would also like to bring attention that our district is not providing equal education benefits between all the schools. I have 4 different children at 4 different schools, and the difference between them are significant. My son is also in instructional classes at Lincoln and is vulnerable to his peers because of his social and academic delay. The last evaluation done by the school district didn't even involve or didn't even cover his disabilities. He's currently in 6th grade, but he's only at a 1st grade academic level, socially and academically. The special education administrator that has sat in on meetings in the past year up till now has limited my participation and makes me feel like I'm not an equal member of the IEP team. I deserve to be heard. I'm advocating for my son. I'm coming to you for help to be able to get him moved and help him to feel safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ricky Naylor, followed by Kashiana Stevenson.
Okay, going back to 2019, this administration said it was ready to sit down and meet racism and discrimination head on. Almost 2023, it has done nothing. I'm sure Brother Reed know this song by the late singer Aaliyah, We Need a Resolution. And one of your board members spoke last week about what they're doing down in Champaign District number 4. They have a resolution, and they've already, with just like San Bernardino, Milwaukee, and some places in Texas, where they have declared racism a health crisis. But this district refused to do it. I don't know why they refuse to do it. This is a big school district, but it leads in nothing but failure. And like the board member was saying, this got to come from this board. We can't keep relying on this administration to do nothing. You guys keep saying, give us solutions. Well, solution is tell these administrators, look, you guys have failed to lead. If you can't follow now, then we got to make some changes. That's a solution right there. So don't say we didn't give you no solution. Now, so what you understand with this district, why it can't do anything about racism, because it'll be fighting against itself. You can't be part of the problem and the solution at the same time. So either they're going to be part of the solution and knock off this stuff they're doing, or they're just going to be part of the problem and need to get out the way. So they need to understand that. Just like back when the Supreme Court declared that, separate equal has no place in education. So you guys need to do the same thing. This board got to do it. We can't wait for these guys to do it. This board need to step forward, all 7 members, when you get the one in tonight, and say, you know what, we are declaring racism a public health crisis. If you don't do that, then we're just going to keep wasting time coming down here and getting nothing resolved.
Thank you. Kashiana Stevenson, followed by Terry Gano.
Hello, my name is Kashiana Stevenson, and I have a 5-year-old at McIntosh McIntosh Elementary School, and he has, it's his first year at school, and he has been eloping out of the building. He does not display this type of behavior at home. And when I ask how does he get outside of the school, they tell me that he's pretty fast. They tell me he's fast. I don't know how a 5-year-old is faster than an adult. And so I've pushed for an IEP for my child on on October 5th. I have not had a date. No one has contacted me. And so yesterday I picked my son up from school. He told me that he ran out of the school. I did not get contacted by the school, so I called the principal, and she said, oh, yeah, he did run out of the school. We just had a busy day. And so I called the Welcome Center to get my son transferred. I can't because there's no schools in my district, my zone. So they said I could possibly get a police report. So the police was called to the school, and all the principal had to say is she didn't have enough staff. So, who's going to be responsible for my kid if he gets hurt? That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Gano, followed by John Brantley.
My name is Terry Gano, and I'm a member of Eliminate Racism 815. I would like to begin by congratulating the school district in its efforts to update the school code of conduct. The code states that RPS uses a preventative supportive approach to discipline. Administrators are trained to respond to misbehavior with interventions and corrective strategies aimed at teaching behaviors, understanding, and addressing root causes of the behavior, resolving conflicts and meeting students' needs while keeping students in school. However noble this effort, disciplinary data paints a different picture, especially when it comes to our students of color. The data shows that black students in our district make up 31% of the students, yet they make up 57% of all in-school suspensions, 60% of all out-of-school suspensions, and 63% of all expulsions. One of those corrective strategies is described in the Code of Conduct as peer mediation or restorative conversation. One of the goals of such strategies is to limit suspensions, detentions, and expulsions, especially in racially inequitable systems of discipline. A recent study from the University of Pennsylvania cites the components needed to develop a healthy school-based restorative justice program. First, suspending students for nonviolent misconduct does not benefit the misbehaving student or their peers. Restorative justice can serve as a valuable tool to help students process nonviolent behavior. Secondly, the study notes that changes in student behavior should not be expected simply by removing consequences. Punishment does not change behavior. Effective restorative justice programming does not remove penalties, rather it makes consequences more intentional. And one more thing I'd like to add. When the district and peoples present information on the screen, instead of presenting a school number, 57%, how about presenting the races and their scores on these tests? It's black students, Latino,
Thank you, Terry.
and Hispanic.
John Brantley.
Yes. Good evening, our school board and our residents and the people that's watching this on TV. I just want to show you, I went from 5 kids to where I'm almost moving 30 kids to school every day. I also want to bring up the fact that we got some families who need some help with the with Christmas items and what have you. Salvation Army, Monday, I was at the City Hall speaking. Alderman Frank Beach got in touch with the director of the Salvation Army. They ended it like 2 weeks ago to sign up. But today they allowed me to bring 5 families to the Salvation Army to sign up for the Salvation Army for their Christmas. Coming up next Wednesday, we are planning on having a Christmas event at Fairgrounds, a Christmas party on Wednesday from 2 to 5 o'clock. What's going to be so important about this Christmas party is we're going to talk about Christmas, but we're going to talk about school concerns. We have, out of the 27 kids I have, more than half of them been suspended. I have a 6-year-old that had the audacity to tell me that I'm going to get my father to beat you up. Imagine if that 6-year-old had said that to a teacher, where she would be. Come Wednesday, working with the library, we have a large number of our kids that don't know how to spell their last name, don't know how their phone number, don't know their address, don't know how to spell their parents' name. We're going to turn them into a game at the library with Minister Leon, and we're going to teach them how to do that, and we're going to give them a reward. So you get more bees with honey instead of complaining about what the parents not doing. That's what we're going to work on doing. We are addressing the issue. To add on, I know it's kind of late, but if we can get some help from the school board or from the school administration, getting the parent liaisons that work at these schools, Ellis School, Lewis Fleming, and Kennedy Middle School, to attend our event where they can meet these parents face to face. We do not have a good, what they have, that parent-teacher liaison. We can build that by y'all coming to the fairgrounds. I know you can hit that button. But anyway, if y'all can get somebody to come to our Christmas event, I got this typed up, and you can come and call me or Dr. Reed. And last but not least, before I leave, we had a good meeting Monday, and we meeting Thursday to finalize our walking school bus. He just hit the button.
We're glad about that. And you can leave your paperwork with whom? Somebody? Oh, we'll get it to the right person. Thank you. That's all we have for public speakers. We'll now move on to the items that proceed through the Performance and Planning Committee. 4, the report and action items include Board Policy 4.140, Operational Services Student Fees, 4.170, Operational Services Safety, 5.120, Employee Ethics, Code of Professional Conduct and Conflict of Interest, 7.70, Students Attendance and Truancy, 8.30, Community Relations, Visitors to and Conduct on School Property. Is there a consensus to approve the policies with one motion and one vote? Seeing so, I'll take a motion in a second to approve items 4A through E.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Are there any concerns or discussion about any of the policies? They were all presented last week at the Committee of the Whole. Seeing none, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll on policies for A through E.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll now go through what we discussed last week at Planning Committee, which is I'd entertain a motion and a second to approve item 5A, ComEd EVs for education.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no lights, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to the consent portion of our meeting. This includes all the items previewed by the board committee chairs during the Committee of the Whole meeting last Tuesday. And you'll be voting on the following: the consent agenda from the Performance and Monitoring, which includes payroll, accounts payable, purchase orders, air travel, and the construction pay request log, monthly cash and investment report for October of 2022, the financial results from October of 2022, the ESSER RPS managed work change order, the International Baccalaureate program, the career running start, HM insurance, which is the health insurance and RN stop loss insurance, the Winston Knowles Therapeutic Day facility, the recurring contract for Larson and Darby Group for the administration building's 4th floor renovations, Power School Group, the LLC Business Plus Enterprise Management Service, the Regional Office of Education's on behalf of Bloom Elementary School. From the Planning Committee, we have the Life Decisions, ARP ESSER, and from the Governance Committee, we have the meeting minutes from 11/29 and 11/15, 2022, contract purchase orders, expense reimbursement from the tri-conference for McCulloch, Rollins, Stanford, and Pearson, the fee waiver for the Phantom Regiment, the Memorandum of Understanding for the International Baccalaureate Program, the Workers' Compensation Settlement Agreement, and the Freedom of Information Law. I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve these consent items.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any consent items board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? David.
6J, please.
I skipped by that one, the career running start? Did I mention it? Okay, good. That's the one we'll pull. And any others? Ms. Pearson.
6I.
Which is the International Baccalaureate Program.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm going to pull 8D, as in dog. All right. Please call the roll on the approval of the consent items not pulled.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Let's start with 6I. I'll just take these in order as they are on the agenda, which is the International Baccalaureate Program. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
Thank you. And discussion? Ms. Pearson.
Yes, thank you. It's really quick. Dr. Jarrett, can you share if any other school principals had an interest of this program being held at their school, or was there any conversation with principals, or did you get any feedback, or was it just an internal, the cabinet or administration at the building's decision?
So the process we undertook to pick the principal for the International Baccalaureate School was first to do a posting, and so all of the principals in the district had an opportunity to apply to that. We also had external candidates, and ultimately an external candidate, Sarah Brenner, was selected to be the principal.
Thank you. The main question was, so it's going to be at Conklin. Were there any principals at any of the other schools that showed interest in it being at that particular school?
So, I understand the nature of your question. I apologize. I think what the district ultimately reviewed criteria of 4 Northwest Side schools to determine which school would be better, and we really narrowed in and ultimately decided, because Conklin had a bilingual program, that was ultimately the deciding factor. International Baccalaureate is tied into having a second language, and because there was already an existing Spanish-speaking population, that sounded like a wonderful opportunity to start there. So that was ultimately the deciding factor. Moving forward, however, we expect to work with the board to determine if there are other quadrants of the city that we will expand the program. We wanted to start small with one special program in the Northwest Side as a first step, but we hope to entertain other quadrants of the city as well as soon as possible, and we'll have a similar process where we analyze the existing schools and buildings and try to make the determination what is the best opportunity.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or discussion? If not, will the coordinator please call the roll?
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next would be 6J, the career running start. I'd entertain a motion in a second.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. And Mr. Siegel.
Thank you. I would like to give Ms. French an opportunity to talk a little bit about this. We didn't really have a ton of discussion at the committee of the whole meeting on this. Talk about what is new and expanded in this item.
Sure. Good evening. I'm Bridget French. I'm the Executive Director of College and Career Readiness, and we are seeking approval tonight for a program called Career Running Start, which will provide an opportunity for 40 seniors, so this year's juniors would be selected for next year, to participate in a career version of our current Running Start program. So you may recall we currently have students that attend full-time on Rock Valley's campus to obtain their associate's degree concurrently with their high school diploma. This will allow students to obtain a certificate of completion in 4 areas that are in high demand in our region. Students will go to school for half a day at their home high school, and they will spend the other half of the day at one of Rock Valley's campuses. So those 4 programs are aviation maintenance, mechatronics, manufacturing, and welding. So when students complete the program, with the exception of aviation maintenance, they will have a certificate of completion in that area. The reason why not aviation maintenance is because that is a 72-hour program, which is longer than the other 3. So students would have to complete another year after high school graduation to complete that program. Rock Valley has assured us that there are ample scholarship opportunities available for students to continue in that program and then obtain their certificate of completion in aviation maintenance.
Did you have another question, David?
I don't have any questions, but this seemed like a pretty monumental addition to the Running Start program. It does address a lot of questions that people have asked about what do we do to prepare people for careers that aren't so, they aren't college. This is, I think, an excellent opportunity for a good number of our students to get some really important certifications that they can begin their careers immediately. So I thought it was just a good time to highlight that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rollins.
I do just want to ask about the cost. So it's $460,000 for 40 students, which works out to be about $11,500 per student. Is that money that we're paying to Rock Valley College per student, or where's the actual cost come in?
So the actual cost, I believe I did provide a cost breakdown. The costs vary by program. So one of the things we wanted to be sure that we did was include all of the supplies that are required for these courses. And so those are included in the total cost. So the costs vary. Aviation maintenance is the most expensive of the 4. That's $7,640 per student. Manufacturing, mechatronics, and welding range between $3,000 and $4,800 per student. So it is an investment, absolutely, but it does connect directly into high-wage, high-demand jobs in our region. And we have a partnership with Rock Valley and local employers who are ready to hire students upon completion in the program.
Is this a multi-year, or how did we get to $11,500 per student, because none of these numbers are that high?
So the total of $460 would be for 2 years. That's a 2-year cost.
So that number that you've got in your Google spreadsheet, that's all for supplies?
No. There's a tab for each program that identifies the cost for tuition and fees and the cost for supplies, and then a total cost per student per program. And then the first tab of the spreadsheet shows the cost per student per program, but then the individual tabs show each program's textbook, supplies, and tuition by course.
Okay. Oh, okay. I just wanted to understand. I mean, the program is good, but I do want everybody to understand this involves us paying tuition for a small number of kids, and this is, at these numbers, probably isn't scalable to large numbers. These are pretty big numbers. So, but for a small program with 40 kids, I think it's worth supporting.
Well, the cost, yes, the cost is variable, but $460,000 for 2 years. Our traditional Running Start program is $360,000 for 2 years for 40 students, so it's pretty comparable in cost. This is a one-year program. That is a two-year program, so that is different. But this connects right into a job and meets a need for our students and for our employers as well.
If we have students who are unsuccessful, drop out, I mean, is there any sort of promissory on this if we're spending that kind of money?
We don't currently have a promissory with our current Running Start program. That does happen occasionally. But what we've done in order to ensure that we're finding students who are the right ready to be on a college campus is we are working with the counselors to conduct interviews, essays. That's what we're doing for our traditional Running Start program. For this program, we have 40 seats, and we have been putting the feelers out to our students to find out who's interested. We have about 30 students who are currently interested. Obviously, they haven't committed because we don't have the board-approved contract yet, but we ensure that our counselors are meeting with the families and the students to really understand the commitment that they're making. And we do sometimes have students that come back to high school, but we don't ask them to repay typically.
So if this, you have 30, but say next year you have 60, how are you, because we did change how we're choosing students for the Running Start because we had so many applying. What are you going to do? Is it lottery? Is it, what will you be doing for this program if the numbers are greater than 40 who apply?
So we found a lot of success, I think, this year in shifting to a merit-based program for our traditional Running Start. We had a task force of counselors, teachers go through instructional council that were approved to be the people that did the interviews and read the essays. And I think that we have we won't know, obviously, but we have a group of students that we feel the task force feels is really ready to take on the challenge of being on a high school campus full time. So I think we would look at doing the same thing. I think we found that the lottery system wasn't working for all of our students, and so we want to give all of our students an opportunity to whatever that process looks like. We'll develop it in partnership with our counselors and our administrators, but I think we would do some sort of merit-based program next year if we have more than 40 students who are interested.
And this is one-year program? So
this is a one-year program for seniors.
40 students each year, but our Running Start program, do we choose 40 each year?
So we choose 20 each year for Running Start for a total of 40. So we have 40 enrolled at all time, 20 juniors, 20 seniors.
And I just asked that because now if you were already doing the merit-based and all the background work and choosing students, now you've got 40 students that you'll be looking at each year as compared to just the 20, not just, but the 20 you have. So you've now taken and tripled that number. And I think that it's a pretty time-consuming probably process. So I don't know if it involves additional staff or what it has to do with our...
Yeah, we paid a stipend to a task force to do the work, and I think they found it to be valuable, and they did a great job of interviewing and reviewing essays and qualifications of students in a really short amount of time. So,
is the stipend included in your whole monetary piece?
It is not. No, I have a separate budget for curriculum leadership work that includes stipends for this type of task forces. So that comes out of my budget outside of this contract.
Does anybody else have any questions? Ms. Pearson.
Do you know the cost of the unsuccessful? What was the cost that we accrued from students not being successful that we lost money on, or that percentage rate?
Yeah, I don't know that off the top of my head, to be honest with you. We typically have maybe one student a year that is unsuccessful that ends up returning back to their home high school. But we work really hard with Rock Valley and the students' counselor to make sure that they can be successful. So we get them tutors through the Rock Valley Tutoring Center. They go on academic probation first before they would ever be kicked out. We have conferences with the parents. So it is not a common occurrence that students have to return to their home high school it is unusual that it is more than one student a year.
Thank you.
Seeing no additional lights, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll on the career running start.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes, and thank you to Ms. French for letting me put her on the spot.
Thank you.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
I'll entertain a motion in a second for the fee waiver on the Phantom Regiment.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. I pulled it for two reasons. Is Ms. Sperling? Yeah, here. Just a quick question. Whoops. The way it reads is RPS students will have the opportunity to utilize professional equipment currently unavailable in their programs. And so to utilize, those are full donations, right? They're not just stuff we can use when we need it. They're actually donating the instruments.
Correct.
They will become property of.
Yes, they're at distribution right now.
That was my question.
Actually, they're in several schools right now.
We've already accepted them?
Yes.
While I have you up there, I'm going to ask you another question, and then I want to share something with the board. When I was on the elevator, there was All-City Fine Arts Music Program tomorrow night, correct? December 14th. Mm-hmm. And the flyer says that the orchestra is going to be on the youth stage, the choir is going to be in the chapel, and the band is going to be in the main stage. Nowhere on this information does it tell me what stage is it, what facility. So where is this at?
It's at Forest City Church.
At where?
Forest City Church was formerly Heartland.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, good to know.
Formerly the mall.
Somebody next time maybe putting the location.
Yeah, I'll bring that up with Simon.
Would be really helpful. So thank you for that. What I wanted to share, and I also just wanted it to bring it everybody's attention that there's this event tomorrow night, and it's at formerly Heartland Church.
The concert starts at 6:30. 6:37 and 7:30. You can attend 1, 2, or 3.
And the 3 concerts are, I mean, you're up there. Can you share with us? Because I think it's good for people to hear what we're doing in the community. And
can I plug?
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm offering you.
Tomorrow morning we're having the Instrument Zoo, and that's happening also at Forest City Church. The Rockford Symphony Orchestra wrote a grant, and so we have professional musicians coming in to show all the kids all about all the instruments, and it's going to be very fun and very interactive. And then as soon as they leave, the middle school art students come in for a middle school Middle School All-City Art Festival. And so that's going to be run by the high school teachers, so they will have a chance for middle school. Sorry, Simon's calling me right now. He probably is watching. He seriously is calling me right now. So the middle school art, Simon is my fine art support specialist, the one who did the... Yes. So the art is having a festival run by the high school art teachers, so they'll get to meet the art teacher that if they go into art in high school, that would be their teacher. And then as soon as they're finished, then the middle school music students come, and they are also having clinics with their high school music teachers, band, choir, and orchestra, and culminating in concerts at the end of the day, with orchestra being first at 6:30, choir at 7, and band at 7:30.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks for letting me say that.
We see pictures and hear things after the fact, so it's good to know if anybody's available and is able to attend. So thank you for that. I did want to share with the board that having gone through this process now a couple of times with fee waivers and the requests that have been coming through, legal has been working with facilities to come up with an actual form. So you'll see a consistent form filled out for the fee waivers. Also, you'll be seeing, Dr. Jarrett, is it in January that we're going to have that conversation? Would you like to just share that, just so that people can start thinking about it?
Pending the completion of the form because we think it's kind of a paired item. We are working on the administrative procedure, which caps superintendent authority currently at $5,000, proposing to move it to the traditional amount, assuming that there'd be an accounting for real cost as well. All facility waivers are not created equal. Some involve perhaps just setting up items in a parking lot where there may not be actual custodial costs, where others do have considerable security and custodial costs that are incurred. So we are working on the details and should have that hopefully in January.
Okay, and I just wanted to give a heads up to start thinking about that, because I guess I've spent a lot of time asking questions, and realistically there's a lot of requests from the community, and this will allow Dr. Jarrett a little bit more opportunity to meet those without involving the board, just because of his limit being, his threshold being so low. And I don't know if you've ever been to a petting zoo, but it's just phenomenal. The kids, and they're fifth graders, right? So it's what instrument they might want to choose for middle school, and it's just a gas. The people from the symphony are so excited to share, and the kids are excited to be able to try different instruments. So I'm so glad it's back, because I know during COVID, obviously, touching and feeling, we weren't doing stuff like that. So, and good luck tomorrow with the whole performance. Thank you. Would you please, does anybody else have any questions? Would you please call the roll on item 8D, the fee waiver for the Phantom Regiment?
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to the closed session consent agenda, which includes the following: the HR Human Resources Organizational Report and Addendum, along with the following student discipline items: for suspension, appeals, and expulsions, case H0021X23. The expulsion is held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion and abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 22-23 school year through the second trimester of the 23-24 school year. H0023X23, the expulsion is held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion and abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year. H0024X23 is expelled for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year through the entire 23-24 school year. P0053X23 is expelled for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year through the first semester of the 23-24 school year. Hang on a second. Okay. It also includes the following closed session consent items for student discipline, the EIAs: D0004, H0022, P0042, P0043, P0044, P0045, P0046, P0047, P0048, P0049, P0050, P0051, P0052, P0054, P0055, P0056, P0057, P0058, P0059, and T0007. Is there a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any closed session consent items board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Ms. Pearson.
10C, H0024.
There's no discussion. Do we have the right, I don't know if I'm the only one, I'm hesitating here before I put through the vote on A, B, and D before pulling it. For D, which is P0053X, that was only through the first semester? Okay. So will the coordinator call the roll on all the items from closed with the exception of 10CH0024X?
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And would you please call the roll on item 10C as in Charlie? Oh, I need a motion and a second for that. I'm sorry. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And thank you. No discussion, so would you please call the roll on 24X?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
No.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 1 no.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we have the superintendent's report.
I have 2 items this evening, and I'm going to go through my portion, an update on the superintendent's target very efficiently so we can save time for the main attraction, which is going to be our SSAC representative, Ms. Jensen, who's going to be presenting on her experiences. This evening, she had a chance to attend the retreat and also will be sharing that. The update on the superintendent's target, I want to remind our board that we have tied to my performance evaluation this year 2 specific targets, and one of those 2 targets is on a topic we heard a little bit about tonight, the multi-tiered system of support and that implementation, and we're tying that to a larger discussion about how we can support struggling students and have and make sure we're making progress on supporting students academically through multiple methodologies, including extended day, week, and year, as well as in-school interventions. So 3 quick updates on this. One target we wanted to see is we now have a weekly district monitoring process where we take a look at how all of our students, all of our schools are doing at placing our students in the panorama system to make sure they're embedded in there. We started the year with virtually none of our students formally entered into the system, although many of them did have some sort of intervention structures. The goal was to have a number that was around 25% district-wide. The reason 25% is selected is if you start getting way above 25% of your students in Tier 2 and 3 interventions, you really have a Tier 1 problem more than you have a Tier 2 and 3 problem with our multi-tiered system of support. The schools have done an excellent job progressing on that each week, and then we've supplemented that with both reviews of student discipline as well as other academic indicators, and also we've had some case studies come forward with how schools are specifically utilizing supports in their schools. So that has continued on and is in good shape. The next step is going to be to evaluate the quality of those interventions, because merely placing students in academic and behavioral interventions does not ensure that they're automatically going to have improved outcomes. So as you may recall from Saturday's retreat, one of our 8 standards of practice at all levels is the development of an MTSS system. So the second part of my target that I set forth to the board was that we would support as a district the schools improving from a 2.3 to a 2.75 on that particular standard of practice, which has to do with the quality of implementation. More to come on that. I don't have any final number, but that is an independently audited rating that comes forth. And when I have more information, I'll share that. But I wanted the board to know that not only are we measuring the numbers of students that are placed as well as some of the case studies, but we do have a quality measure as well. And then finally, the last phase of the work, we've had long conversations about what do we do with struggling students, particularly at the secondary level, who are not passing enough of their classes to be on track and then are continuing on into the academic year. Perhaps they're going from 8th grade into 9th grade or throughout their high school career, and we are not seeing any real strong issues addressed. So what we're going to be challenging all of our schools to be doing as the final phase of this target for this year is to ensure that the 25% of students who are identified for Tier 2 and 3 supports, that we are monitoring and effectively placing students in interventions during the summertime. That's something that has been, I think, an underutilized opportunity. We've used our ARP ESSER dollars to have millions of dollars worth of summer opportunities that are available for enrichment that could support some of those students. We also have vast investment in credit recovery systems that could be available. So we are going to start the process of measuring how schools are doing at placing students in those interventions. So that will be the third phase of the work. But this all ties back to that larger conversation we're having about how do we support struggling students in this district. And I wanted to make sure we got back about how we're supporting school level interventions. I will come back to the board and talk a little bit about district and also parental partnerships in future months. But with that, I wanted to turn it over to Katie Jensen to share her experience, and then I can open up for any questions that the board has with me. But I want to turn it over to Katie to share her experiences as a student in our district and also her experience as our board representative this month. Katie, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Katie Jensen, and I'm a senior at Guilford High School. And I just want to say thank you for letting me sit in on the board meeting. It was very informative as a student perspective. And I'm here just to kind of talk about my experience at Running Start. Since I'm a senior, this is my second year completing it, and I will graduate high school with my associate's degree in arts. And you can either have associate's degree in arts or science through the program. And I found it very beneficial and making school worthwhile because there's not as much busy work in the program, and it makes you actually want to learn, since what you're learning is all going to help you instead of just kind of hinder you, is just getting stuff done. And it allows me to meet new people, other kids that actually want to learn and want to be in the classes, and other students with certain interests. It also allows me to branch out to different subjects and take classes that I enjoy. And it gives me the opportunity to work with other teachers and professors that I found very beneficial. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Is that the end of your report, Dr. Jarrett?
That concludes my report. Thank you, Mrs. McCulloch.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is an opportunity for board members to comment. Do any of the board members have any comments they'd like to share? Ms. Pearson?
Yes, I just want to encourage school administrators. I know that your job is not easy. It leaves a question when students are able to escape adult supervision to how much we really have or how much we're really giving our students with the shortage of teachers, and that being a common reason why particular incidents occur in school. So we really need to take a close look at the interventions we're giving, and what is being documented is accurate. So there is a balance with adequate staff and factual interventions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rollins.
Well, I don't know if this goes under board member action steps, but I would just ask that the administration follow up with the board regarding the two parents who spoke today and give us a little background. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So I will now entertain a motion and a second to approve the Subdistrict F selection and the administration of the oath of office to Ms. Kimberly Haley.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussions? No? So please call the roll.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
You betcha.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Well, then we'll proceed with the swearing in of our new board member. Ms. Haley, if you would please come forward. If you want to go to the podium so that you have a microphone, please. You've already been handed a copy of the oath, correct? And so I would ask, instead of repeating it all, I will ask you to read, and as you do so, please hold up your right hand as you read the oath as written.
I need to hold it back here. Okay. Now, I, Kimberly Haley, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Rockford School District Number 205, Winnebago, Boone County, Illinois, in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear or affirm that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Rockford School District Number 205, Winnebago, Boone Counties, Illinois. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to obtain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our communities, schools to advance the vision of Rockford School District Number 205, Winnebago, Boone County in Illinois. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
Ms. Haley, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
If you would. We're all grateful for your service. Do you have any words you would want to say? Otherwise, you can come forward and have a seat at the table.
Well, I did want to provide my thanks to the board members for actually choosing me, and I am willing to serve the people of our community as we strive to make a community that's made for everyone.
Thank you. Please join us. Well, we're on to board member action steps, but this is also the opportunity that we said we were going to verbally do at the end of each meeting for a, instead of having written comments. So we'll come down the line, and if you have either a plus or a delta that you'd like to share, I'd like very much to give Ms. Haley a minute to get to her seat. Thank you. Ms. Haley, you you got to sit through the board meeting. Do you have anything that, a plus or a delta that you see on the behalf of the board? Ooh, you have to hush the little light so that, yeah, there you go.
I'm excited about the direction that the board is going. I'm excited about Career Running Start. I think we do have a lot of issues to address, and I'm here for it.
Okay. Ms. McCall?
I'd just like to say I really like the flow of the meeting today. And thank you for the participation of the audience and the board. I think today's meeting was pretty good.
Okay. Ms. Pearson?
Yes, thank you. I'm always appreciative of the community and their input, and I don't take anything for granted or take it light. And it is so important that we really empathize with parents and their concern, and it is certainly my hopes that we would expeditiously respond to the very concerning concerns. Thank you.
Mr. Siegel?
Yeah, I'm also appreciative that we do have public speakers who come to the meetings. You know, they're not always, sometimes they're pretty tough to give, and they're pretty tough to listen to. But this is kind of how a public system works, and I'm appreciative for the people who come and contribute. I'm also really grateful that we have students. Thank you, Katie, for coming to give your perspective and your observations on the meeting, especially coming Saturday morning. That was something of a marathon, so appreciate you sticking that out. Yeah, I guess I'm also pleased with how the meeting went, and I'm hoping that we are going to see lots of great things coming. And happy holidays, everybody.
So I guess I really enjoy when our schools come and present to us and share their successes. We have so many incredible children in our system, and we don't often get to hear about them and the successes that we are having. So that's what I enjoyed about tonight's meeting.
I agree that the addition of having the schools come and talk to us about the specific strategies, and it is interesting, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Each school is really doing something a little bit different, and it's kind of interesting that each school is finding its own success in doing something a little bit different. As far as the meeting goes, I thought the flow went pretty well, and it was pretty neutral.
Thank you. I want to say that I appreciate, because we want to talk about both our performance as well as that of the staff, and I would like to just thank those who were asked to answer questions and stand up without prior notice for being here and being generous with their time and information. I think that's my positive. So I think that in January when we come back, so everybody has the rest of this month off, we'll kind of do a little seat change, because we can't have all the new people sitting together. It's good to put them between people who are seasoned. So if you have a question, you can kind of reach over and say, hey, I have this question. So I'll have Ms. Hoadley take care of that for us, and we'll have new name tags, and we'll work on it together. Well, we'll have the name tags just moved around, so take a look for that in January. Meanwhile, happy holidays to everybody, and enjoy your time off, and thank you for your input. I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. We are adjourned at 8:09.